Hey guys, Micah from Black Bear Custom Kydex. I've got a little bit of a strange view for you today. Normally I'm more centered on this piece of wood, but you can see off the front edge of my workbench right now. And the reason is because I wanted to be able to bring my pocket over here into the frame so you guys could actually see these two sheaths and how they work. The TDI here is, I'll reference that in just a moment, but it's not about the TDI. This is about two pocket sheaths that I made for a customer named Jordan. And the knives here are the Lon Humphrey Tarpon. I don't recall. I think he did tell me what this wood was, but I don't recall. But you can see it's absolutely gorgeous. I want to say this is some kind of birch burl with orange liners. And unlike some companies like Essie, for instance, whose orange doesn't happen to match the color of Kydex, this orange actually is almost a perfect match. So I really love the combo here. And that's not a harp on Essie. I'm not picking on Essie. It's just the color that they've chosen doesn't happen to be the same as the color that Kydex production companies choose for dyeing orange Kydex. So I'm just making a point about the matching. But I really love how this micarta liner matches the sheath really nicely. This one here is a Bark River Ringtail. I believe that's OD green. I want to say canvas micarta. That might be linen. And red liners here, blood red liner is beautiful. So this one here is orange Cryptek, and this or hunter orange Cryptek or whatever, and this is Cryptek Mandrake. I really love the color combo of both these knives and sheaths. So, all right, these are for a customer, like I said, named Jordan. Jordan has been very patiently waiting for his stuff. I did ship it out late, and it was late about 2 months ago when I shipped it. Sadly, USPS lost the package for a bit. Eventually, it came back to me just beat up. All you could see on it was the company name, my company name, and amazingly, they tracked down the address for the company and brought it back to me, which was extraordinary of them, to be honest, because that's not something you see very often. And I'll tell you guys right now, I do have a couple of good friends that work for USPS and have helped me over the last few months track down a few lost packages. If you guys are following the situation at all, USPS has been extremely overburdened because they have all of the online shopping to deal with, which has spiked so much since coronavirus lockdowns and all that. So not to excuse any fault that they might have in losing a package, but just obviously be be aware that everything is taking longer to ship than normal, longer in transit, and then sometimes things get lost because you have a bunch of overworked and understaffed employees, and just things happen. So again, I'm not trying to make them any excuse for losing anybody's packages, but have faith. Everything so far that has been lost has been recovered, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm really happy with the fact that they've been willing to like really work with me and track things down and get to the bottom of situations. This is not an exception to that. So it came back to me, and I told Jordan I would like to take some video and photos of these because I didn't get a chance to the first time around. I was probably there have been times when I've shipped like 25 packages in a day, and I just didn't have time to like really film anything or get pictures. But since they came back to me, I figured I'd just take an extra day to do that. So here we are. Sorry for that ramble, but let's get into this. So these are pocket sheaths. They're meant to be worn in the front pocket, and in this particular case, they're going to be worn in the right front pocket for forward grip, or you could switch it over and do left front pocket for reverse grip. Either one would work just fine. But if you ever want to change it up and carry left front pocket forward or right front pocket reverse, you can take this plate off, take the UltiClip off, and just swap to the opposite side. These are totally ambidextrous. They also function as neckers. He asked specifically to put two eyelets in the bottom of each of these sheaths so that he could throw some paracord through it and wear it as a necker. One thing that I was really concerned with when he first contacted me, he's told me the names of the knives, and I looked them up, and I wasn't familiar with either of these particular models, but I looked at them immediately and said, you know what, they're probably not going to get click retention, and the retention on them might be a little bit lower than what you'd see on a standard knife. When I say standard, I just mean the contour It's not actually more standard. It's just what I'm saying right now, so don't pick on me. But normally, most knives that you'll see have some kind of contour here at the front of the handle where it's narrow and then fattens out right before the transition to the blade. For Kydex purposes, that gives you the click retention, because that means I can mold some Kydex a little bit deeper right behind this section and then open it back up so you can get the knife in with the wide section, and then it pinches, and then you push it past and you hear a click. That's what usually creates retention with Kydex. In instances where you have a knife that doesn't have much of a contour on the handle, like this guy, you can see no contour here, and from above you can see it does flare out just a little bit. You also have these little grooves and ridges which do help immensely to get some retention as well. So with something lower contour, you're not necessarily going to get a click, but I can still do something like form the sheath and then reheat part of the opening, the very opening of the sheath, and pinch it in and create like more tension so you get a friction hold. This one, I'm really pleased to report, does actually click in, a combination between this negative taper, where it's actually widest here and gets narrower as you go up the handle, combined with those little ridges, which you can see the impressions of right there. You do actually get a click and excellent retention. No rattle, no play. And that's not going to fall out on you. At the same time, you can just put your thumb like right on the top of the sheath and kind of push and get, it's not ballistic. It's not a ballistic draw, but you can definitely draw one-handed very comfortably. But it's also for that same reason that I did not bend a thumb ramp on either one of these sheaths. Particularly with the Tarpon. This one was a little bit easier to get retention on. The Tarpon was kind of a pain. But what happens when you bend a thumb ramp, you have to reheat the section, not only for the thumb ramp itself, but just a little bit outside of the area of the thumb ramp, because when you flex that Kydex up, which I usually do with this little clay modeling tool, I'll reheat this section of the Kydex here, and then with a heat gun, and then I'll take this tool and slip it underneath and kind of pry it upward like that, and that creates a thumb ramp. But when you do that, it pulls some of the excess material from around the bottom, sometimes affecting retention slightly, and you have to tweak it again a little bit. And then it also sometimes will lift the ceiling of the sheath up a little bit, meaning that when you have, in this case, no thumb ramp and no wiggle vertically, you might move the ceiling enough so that it does wiggle a little bit, which can also negatively affect the retention. So with these already being kind of like on that razor thin edge of working or not working as far as retention goes, I didn't want to risk it by bending a thumb ramp. So it's not as comfortable to draw without the thumb ramp, I will say that. But with them being front pocket sheaths or neckers, you can very much just do a kind of grip it and rip it draw, which is not my typical preference. I love the thumb ramp ideas. I love using thumb ramps, but in this particular case, I would say, honestly, just hold the handle the way that you'd normally hold it and just pull it out of the sheath. They both have good retention, but not so much that it's going to be difficult to just do that without a thumb ramp. Like I said, the Tarpon, a lot harder to get good retention on. It does still have really good retention, no rattle, no play, but not quite as much retention as the Ringtail, because the grooves on the Ringtail really actually are what locks that in place. This one only has negative contour width-wise, and height-wise has just that tiniest little bit right there to grip onto, and it's an extremely smooth handle. So this was, like I said, a very, very difficult sheath to get retention on, or knife rather, to get retention on. But what I did was I just reheated the opening of the sheath, and I made it a little bit smaller. I slowly pinched it in all around, gave it a little bit more of an elliptical shape, which does not match up with the handle. It would match this way, but it's a negative elliptical shape this way. So you can see it's clearly wider, but it's also shorter. So it does do a really good job at creating a friction hold and pinching this in, even while inverted. So it will work as a necker. Just be aware that it doesn't have as much retention as the Ringtail does, and does not click in place because there's nothing to really grip onto for that. So just push it in until it seats fully, and you'll have good solid retention, especially using this in the pocket. All right, so as far as how this actually works, if you want to carry this in the pocket, what you want to do, or in the waistband for that matter, you have an UltiClip here that's attached to a plate. Shout out, by the way, to Gary over at C2G Fab. No longer in business, I don't believe. I don't know if he'll ever make a comeback or not. I hope he does, because Gary just had so many awesome ideas. But this whole idea of attaching an UltiClip to a plate was his creation. He's the first one to do that. A lot of guys have been doing UltiClips from the start off the side where there are eyelets, but Gary was the first one that thought, you know what, I should put a plate on there so that the UltiClip can actually be centered on the weight of the knife, so that wherever you pull, it'll pull directly straight, rather than if the UltiClip was here, you go to pull and it wants to kind of tilt like that before dislodging your knife. So this is a really fantastic idea. It also functions, again, as just a practical thing, not just because of the weight and the pull, but the fact that it creates a natural spacer so that the UltiClip doesn't have any kind of spacing conflict with the handle itself. It puts it away from the face of the sheath just far enough to clear that handle. So this is, on a lot of levels, a really, really clever idea. And Gary was the very first guy to do that. There have been a bunch of others that have copied him, myself included. You know, but I hope everybody's giving Gary credit, because he deserves it. He's the first one to do this for sure. There's no arguing that point, although I know a certain maker probably is claiming credit for the idea, is arguing otherwise. But be in the know. Gary, C2G Fab, he's the guy that came up with this. So we're all benefiting from his clever idea there. But anyway, this one is in Cryptek Orange, matches those liners. I think I already talked about that. But how it works is you put this UltiClip onto the plate. There are 6 holes on this plate, which means that not only do you have lateral spacing options, but you can actually tilt your UltiClip. So I could unscrew this one and then rotate it over. You can see with these slots, you could achieve a bunch of different ride height and angle options. So depending on pocket, inside the waistband, whatever's comfortable for you. This is just where I set it up here, but it's really easy to adjust. What you want to do, take the plate off first by unscrewing these 2 screws, and then you can access the screws on the back side. You can get them on the front, but you've got to move the female hardware, which is embedded here on the back. You can see those 2 pieces of hardware right there. So you have to readjust this if you, or take the plate off to readjust it if you want to, but how it works, you slip the whole sheath inside your pocket. You open your UltiClip and you slide it over the edge of the fabric or your waistband, either way. This is not meant to be worn outside the waistband. UltiClips function best inside the waistband or inside the pocket. They will clip on outside the waistband, and I'm not telling you that this is not a possibility. You can absolutely do this and carry it around like that, but be aware, it's not going to be stable. Even a tiny light knife like this one is just going to flop around. As you walk, it's going to move. I don't like how it's tapping my thigh. That's just me. If you like that, that's fine. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just telling you what you should reasonably expect if you want to carry outside the waistband with an UltiClip is a very unstable sheath. So UltiClips really just create an anchor point, and your fabric and your body do the rest to stabilize it. So in the pocket, this thing is fantastic. And the great thing about this is, even without the thumb ramp, all you have to do is pull. The UltiClip will brace your sheath, and your knife is going to pop right out. So you can very comfortably and easily draw. Just make sure when you put it back in, you truly do get the tip of the blade inside that sheath first before you put any pressure downward to fully sheath it. Obviously, that's just a smart idea. So, like I think I had said before, this is ambidextrous. You can take the UltiClip off, you can take the plate off, reverse them, and switch sides. But currently it's set up for right hand forward grip or left hand reverse grip. So you can do either or swap it out and have it go the other way around. But I'm really happy with how these came out. Cryptek Extreme Orange, Cryptek Mandrake. Let me know what you guys think. I really think both of these knives are pretty cool, and I really like them for like a little EDC knife. These are fantastic. They're both excellent quality knives. I can speak personally to both companies here. Bark River might be my all-time favorite knife company. At the very least, production knives. I absolutely love almost everything I've ever handled from them. And even the knives that I haven't really liked the designs of, you can just still feel the quality and care that goes into each one. Lon Humphrey, oh my goodness. Guys, if you have not checked out Lon Humphrey, you need to go do that. The man is an absolute wizard with smithing and forging. I own a couple of his knives, and they are some of the best knives you will ever be able to purchase. So definitely go check out Lon Humphrey Knives. Fantastic stuff. But don't take my word for it. Go check it out for yourself. Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you guys own any Bark River or Lon Humphrey? What do you think of them? Do you own these models? Have you checked these out? And what do you think of these? And then tell me what you think of pocket carry. Do you guys like carrying in the pocket? Do you like the idea? Pros, cons, the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's get some conversations generated down below. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. This has been a longer video than I intended, as usual. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative about pocket carry, about how I do some of my work, how I get retention on knives like these. And of course, if you have any questions, just comment down below. I'll be diligent to answer those if possible. I get a lot of comments on a lot of my videos, so if I don't answer, please don't be offended. It's just that I didn't see it. I didn't have a chance to get to it. So, all right, guys, I'm going to let you go now. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and stick around for the next one. God bless.